James Pearce Jr. is a top NFL prospect, but a cloud hangs over his talent. In December 2023, he was arrested in Knoxville. The charges were serious speeding, driving with a suspended license, expired tags, no insurance, improper window tinting, and failure to properly display registration. He also initially disobeyed police orders to exit the vehicle. This incident raised red flags for NFL teams. Pearce's talent is undeniable, but his off-field judgment is now under scrutiny. The arrest came as a shock to many. Pearce was seen as a rising star. He was a dominant force on the Tennessee defensive line. His draft stock was soaring, but the legal trouble has cast a shadow over his future. NFL teams value character. They want players who make good decisions. Pearce's arrest suggests a lack of maturity and responsibility. The incident has sparked debate. Some believe it's a minor setback. They argue that young athletes make mistakes. They say Pearce will learn from this. Others are more cautious. They worry about a pattern of poor judgment. They question Pearce's decision-making off the field. The NFL draft is all about risk assessment. Teams must decide if Pearce's talent outweighs his off-field concerns. The legal process is ongoing. Pearce is due in court soon. The outcome of the case will impact his draft stock. A guilty verdict would be damaging. It would confirm teams' worst fears. A dismissal or lenient sentence would help his case. It would show that he is taking responsibility, but the damage may already be done. Pearce's draft night will be full of intrigue. The legal troubles weren't Pearce's only problem. Whispers began to circulate. Anonymous sources spoke up. They were people within the NFL. Some were defensive line coaches. They raised concerns about Pearce's character. They questioned his maturity and coachability. These whispers carried weight. NFL teams rely on scouting reports. They value the opinions of coaches. One coach called Pearce a first-round talent, but he expressed reservations. He worried about Pearce's maturity. He wondered if Pearce could handle the pressures of the NFL. Another coach was more blunt. He said his team wouldn't even consider drafting Pearce. He cited coachability issues. He questioned Pearce's willingness to listen and learn. These anonymous comments were damaging. They painted a picture of a player who was difficult to coach. They suggested that Pearce might be a locker room problem. NFL teams want players who are coachable. They want players who buy into the team concept. Pearce's response to these concerns was swift. He denied the allegations. He proclaimed his innocence. "I'm a great guy," Pearce said. "I'm a great teammate. I'm a great player. I'm a people person. I have a good heart." Pearce's words were passionate, but were they convincing? NFL teams had to decide if they believed him. They had to weigh his words against the anonymous reports. The character concerns lingered. They would follow Pearce into the draft. Despite the off-field concerns, Pearce's talent was undeniable. He was a force of nature on the football field. He was a dominant defensive lineman. His stats spoke for themselves. In his final 2 seasons at Tennessee, he racked up an impressive 17.5 sacks. He was a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. His speed and power were unmatched. Pearce was a game changer. He could single-handedly disrupt an offense. He was a constant threat in the backfield. His presence on the field demanded attention. He forced opposing teams to alter their game plans. He was that good. Scouts marveled at his athleticism. He had the size and speed to be an elite pass rusher in the NFL. He was explosive off the line of scrimmage. He had a variety of pass-rushing moves. Pearce was also strong against the run. He could set the edge and control the line of scrimmage. He was a complete defensive lineman. He had the potential to be a cornerstone player for an NFL franchise. His on-field performance was impossible to ignore. He was a top prospect, but the off-field issues remained a concern. NFL teams had a difficult decision to make. They had to weigh Pearce's talent against his character concerns. They had to decide if his on-field production outweighed his off-field risks. It was a gamble. But high-risk players can yield high rewards. Pearce was a gamble that some teams were willing to take.